Esta semana se estrenó el corto de Taylor Swift All Too Well y hablé con su diseñador de producción, con Tobman, que me contó cómo fue trabajar con ella en este rol en el que por primera vez le tocó ponerse a cargo de dos actores que están acostumbrados a trabajar en la industria, y él me contó desde cómo fue que la vio trabajar en este lugar hasta cómo fue que pensaron cada uno de los elementos que forman parte, obviamente los colores azul y rojo. No hablamos tanto de la vida privada, pero me parece que algún mensaje se puede leer entre líneas, todo en este espectacular informe sobre All Too Well.
We now return to Mira Akien and Contre with our latest interview.
I feel really lucky because I met Taylor the first time she wanted to direct anything. So she was sort of going from spending 20 years in the spotlight watching some phenomenal music video directors to her, and decided it was her turn to direct her own stuff. So that was a really interesting time to meet somebody who's at the top of their game and has really established a narrative of their iconography, but now wants to play a different role in the story.
Are you for real?
What do you mean?
I think part of the reason that she hired me when we first met, it was on this video called The Man off the album Lover 2 years ago, right before the pandemic. And I think she wanted something really cinematic. So she was looking at production designers that came from movies. And obviously I've done a lot of music videos. Particularly, I think the most similar relationship I have to Taylor is the relationship creatively I've had with Beyonce for 16 years, starting with Destiny's Child, actually. And with that relationship, I also saw someone go from being a singer and a performer who watched many directors step into the directing role herself.
I don't know any of these people. They're all strangers. They're all older than me.
But like, what are you talking?
I feel so out of place. You're the only one that makes me feel comfortable. You won't even look at me.
We did The Man together, and then the pandemic hit, and then we did Cardigan together and Willow together, and she was experiencing, I think, a very different musical moment in her life where she was transitioning to folk and a much more, a less country, less pop, more earthy, more ethereal, more poetic lyrics. And so the worlds of the music videos likewise became more cinematic and surreal and magical. And we worked with Rodrigo Pietro on all of those videos, incredible cinematographer, one of the best, I think, alive. And we sort of created this triumvirate of trust where Taylor really encourages incredible amounts of creativity and ideas. She doesn't micromanage. She looks for people to make things better. She has a very strong impulse for what she wants and what she doesn't want. But within that canyon, there are rivers of suggestions that she'll accept.
I'm sorry, I dropped your hand. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on.
Her ambition has evolved as a director. And then in this short film, she wanted to depict two actors. She wanted to direct actors for the first time where she wasn't the star, something very naturalistic. We wanted something very 70s, grainy, shot on film, very naturalistic, very emotional, huge empathy, not a lot of wide shots, a lot of close-ups, a lot of location work instead of sets. And then from there, we developed the Saturday Night Live performance that complements the video. So as she's grown, I feel like she pushes me. She's pushed me into arenas I've never experienced before. And I can only do that with a director who has a really strong point of view and is really open to people's ideas.
I remember it all too well.
You had two colors that are prominent in this video. One of them is blue, the other one is red. How was like working with that as a concept and expand it into the video?
You know, I actually don't remember who first came up with that idea, but it was definitely sort of a synergy between her and I, that we're in the countryside and it's autumn and it's warm and it's yellow. And she was very clear that when we step into his world, it should feel detached and cold. So that, you know, immediately lends a production designer to blues and whites. It's very monochromatic. He also has no evidence of family or human connection in his world. He has friends, but everything around it is black and white, harsh photography. And, you know, he's got a carbon fiber black bike, and he's got his weights, and he doesn't really have anything grounding or personal. And when we look at her world, it's messy and it's cluttered, and it's very, very colorful, and it's frayed. She is sort of starting her life in New York, and he's cruising in a successful identity in New York. And there's an emptiness to that. We go back to see her family, and it's even warmer and even more woody and frayed and wallpapers clad. So I think it became clear that his world would be blue, hers would be orange. The combined world together would be autumn. But then what was interesting, as the relationship starts to fall apart, the autumn leaves start to fall and it gets colder. And of course, the album's called Red, so we limit the use of red except for the scarf and the lipstick and Sadie's hair. And eventually she is immersed in red as she sort of comes out of her grief. She approaches the red typewriter. Taylor was very clear that the typewriter should be red. That's one of the things that sort of guided the color process. But what I love about the movie is that then once she gets through the red and she becomes an adult, then her world turns blue. And she owns blue. She's now an adult, but it's not in a detached way. It's very emotional. And these are, you know, subtle things that help guide people emotionally to feel what we want them to feel as filmmakers. And then in the Saturday Night Live performance, what was so rich about that is she hired me to do that because she felt I understood the palette of the movie, and I would then interpret that in a live performance. And we did some of those colors in that performance too. And I think it's really subtle, but it's really effective.
Left my scarf there at your sister's house, and you've still got it.
As you were expecting, it's like full of videos of people in TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, whatever social media you can think of, analyzing and speculating about this video. I want to know about the Easter eggs.
You know, I think of every client I've ever worked with, I think Taylor and her team are the most private and the most, they're very emotional. They're very connected to the fans. They care a lot about connecting with people who are moved by the music and by the visuals. But they also don't like spelling things out for people. So I feel like part of the joy in Easter eggs is to leave them as that, to help them be found on multiple viewings and on internet chatter and on their own. And I've seen a lot of articles about the Easter eggs that they've gotten right, and I've seen a ton that we didn't even think people would come to conclusions on. And that's okay. That's what art is. You know, it's meant to provoke discussion. Taylor's very clever, I think, about adding layers of irony and details and clues about other songs. I mean, I like thinking of her as somebody like a filmmaker who intertwines stories, where you're not sure if a character from one might show up in another, and I love that about her. But I think it ruins the magic to identify them or talk about them.